Okay, I think we are live. Welcome everybody to the Node.js security working group security team meeting from now. Um, so before I start, does anyone have any announcement? I have one. Security releases is coming. Proposal are coming, so it should be released short after next Tuesday, 8th of August. So yeah, please stay tuned. And that's it. Before moving on, I would like to ask you guys to include your name to the minutes. So as usual, we go to the vulnerability review and then open SSF scorecard monitor review. From the vulnerability review, I think actually we have some failures with NVD database check. They have an issue open, but it was not solved yet. So I don't know what else we can do. I mean, we can think about switching libraries or approaches, but since it was written in Python, that would be slightly difficult.
It's not the library, as far as I understand. It's actually NVD's database itself. So like the database is returning errors and timing out. So I think at this point, all we can do is wait for NVD to fix the endpoint and then figure out, I'm assuming once that happens, then the library will just start working again.
Okay.
But like my guess is any other library likely has the same problem. I keep an eye on it. I'm hoping that it will get fixed, but it sounds like, I don't know, they're definitely having to rework something.
All right. Yep. Okay. Let me copy that and paste here. Great. So the next one is the open SSF scorecard monitor review.
So yeah, I created the pull request 1066 actually. There are not a lot of changes. I made a little conclusion there. So there are some organic improvements in some of the scoring, like 0.8 and for Undici and 0.2 for Node.js add-ons API, mostly due to the SAST application. So we already included SAST in the past, so that static analysis is helping us to improve over the time, so it's still growing. And I assume it's going to be still growing. There are some increasing, decreasing as well related to unreview change sets, which is affecting mostly negatively to Node, which is 0.1 points only, and I think positively to Undici, if I remember well by heart. But yeah, those are the major changes.
All right. I'm looking here, and apparently they. Well, in some moment, we would need to check if we can improve that score,
Yep.
but at the moment, I don't think we are targeting it, right? Like, I mean, of course, the score 10 is the goal, but I don't see we working hard to make it happen, right? I think it's just currently is more a monitoring feature. So so I propose to run the what is the name of that tool that Ashish presented us?
Step security.
Step security. I propose to run it on all the repositories in the project, and then we just keep monitoring. And if something decreases a lot, we can deep dive or go and check what's happening. But After that, I believe that's initiatives or these tests specifically it's concluded, right?
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I think makes sense to run a step security to all of the repos that we can. I can do that if nobody else want to do it. I think I have permissions for most of them, at least, so it should be fine. I mean, because there is some trick that sometimes in step security you're required to be like previous contributor or something to, properly run it, but it's going to be fine. And I think aside of that, monitoring. So what we can do in the future is we can move from this to the issue that we have. So instead of making this tracking on this only for repositories, we can use the issue that is generating automatically, where you can see like the big changes. And if, for example, something go below 1 point, maybe we can explore it. And if something goes super positive, also we can announce it. So I think this is just for now monitoring.
Okay, that makes sense for me. Okay, moving on to our regular agenda. We have the audit build process for dependence, but I think we don't have progress on this, just for visibility.
I started to think on how to actually do this. I've been on PTO last week for the last week, so I haven't had much time. But the idea is to basically have something step in the GitHub action that is triggered weekly, that builds the dependency as an artifact and pushes it on an artifact registry that we have on GitHub. To be fair, I actually kind of regret doing the dependency update builds in as a shell script. We could have done that as Python scripts. And for this part, I want to use Python for the build process. But open to suggestion. It's something I will keep working on it. Firstly, because on operating system differences, like I haven't tested scripts on Windows, for example, and probably they will never work. And with Python, it would have been much easier, for example.
But the idea for this script is to run in the CI, right? So it will never run on Windows or macOS, for instance.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, as you can see, there is times when you have to do manually. For example, with OpenSSL update, we have to run them manually on our machine. And also with Python, for example, easier to interface with a registry and with Docker. So at the end of the day, I think it would have been better to use Python, just like every other tool that we have. So this is just my consideration. And for this reason, I would like to use Python for this build process.
I don't think it's an issue if there's a mix in the auto dependencies, right? They're just scripts that are run. So I guess the one is, it adds a new dependency, but we pretty much have a Python dependency for most of our work anyway, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we use already Python for every other script for linters and so on. So I think it's reasonable to stick on that. And I don't know if it's worth it to refactor the current scripts in Python. That's probably something not fundamental, but
yeah, I'm not sure I'd go in if they're working, it's probably fine. But if there's ones that need something more, then it doesn't seem like a terrible thing to have some in Python.
Yeah. So yeah, this is work in progress. I will update you when I have something more defined, probably open an issue on how I want to define the process.
All right. So you are investigating this initiative. The next one is the initiatives for CII best practice. I believe we stopped last week in the silver pull request, the pull request 955, with one remaining questions, if I remember correctly.
Yep. Yeah, there were like previously there was like two. I managed to close both of them, checking the documentation, but we reopened the last one because this was a requirement. Let me see, it's the only active conversation that we have right now, which was related to the hardening mechanisms that we should put in place in the project, so the end users can build a secure software. So the thing is, I think we agreed to use non-applicable, because what they were recommending was like, do some HTTP header cleanups and things like that. So like in terms if you're providing a SaaS or something, or in terms that if you're providing something that, it's like a build based on something, you use the correct flags in order to prevent, like a malfunctioning piece of software. But I think in our case, it's kind of non-applicable because the user has the full freedom of, decide how to manage the application. So in that sense, I think it's okay to put non-applicable, and the discussion is more around if we are using all the compiler flags that we need to mitigate attacks. Some flags mentioned were like if stack protector and things on that direction. So the discussion also with Tobias was around if we have a list of the flags that we don't use by default, but is possible by the users to use, or something on that direction, so they can, like hardening the application on the end, more or less. That's the current status. So if we can close this discussion today, we can just ask Rod for updates on the platform, and we can jump to the gold level, start discussing on that.
Yeah, in my point of view, we can just move with non-applicable and approve this pull request and wait at least in the end of this week until tomorrow. If no one objects, we do a ping or something, ping the TSC, I don't know. And if no objections, we can proceed with the good level for the next session, I guess. Would that make sense for you?
I think it's okay. Yeah, I will say in the discussion that we agreed to keep with non-applicable, and then and then we close it, prepare it. So we should wait for the TSC to confirm, right, that we are happy with the silver level.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think getting one last check would be good.
Yeah. Yeah, I can ask them like a last comment check. So, and let's see, in a couple of days we can close it. But in the meantime, we can start working on the vault, right? I think makes sense to convert that to a pull request and start commenting. So if you are okay with that, the process will be, I think, similar to this one. I can work on the document a little bit on the goal, try to replay to some of the things that are clear, some of the stuff that I'm not clear at all. I can just, open discussions, and later on we can jump in and start closing discussions until we are clear for all the questions.
Yeah, okay. So I wait. Actually, I wait you to update that and resolve that conversation so we can improve and ping TSC.
Fantastic.
All right. Great. So should we go to the gold level or wait it for the next session?
We can wait for the next session, because I didn't review it at all. So for sure, there are plenty of things. Now I know where to check also, like all the details for the discussion, so I can prepare the comments offline easily.
Okay. I'm looking to the gold criteria .md, and looks like there are not a lot of questions, so it should not take so long.
Yeah, it's less than the other. Yeah, obviously we need to have the silver approved before getting the gold, which I hope yes, but there are some tricky questions that we say on meet, so maybe that is conditioning us. But even if we don't have it, we can just make some progress and having like 70% of one and 60% of the other or whatever.
All right.
So that's okay. So yeah, it's less question because it's already like the end of the journey. So yeah, I think after the silver, there are not a lot of more questions to ask. potentially.
Okay, okay, that's great. Very good.
Assuming they're
Yeah.
harder ones though, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Possibly. The next one is the permission model roadmap, the issue 898. Basically, a lot of things are going on the permission model land. A few issues, a few feature requests, and so on. Some private discussions as well. And I'm working on the permission resolve, actually path resolve in the C++ side to be used in the permission side. And also, someone opened an issue on the repository, the issue 1039, that how to include a comma or asterisk to the allow fs read. Basically, they are it is a special character. So what we are working on is basically how what is the best way to support paths that contains comma. One of the suggestions that I believe we will move forward is the one to accept multiples CLI arguments with the same name. So we will make a vector. So for instance, allow fs read file 1, allow fs read file 2, and then we moving on. So if the file contains a comma, it won't be a problem. However, this is a bit annoying to write. Imagine that when you have a lot of files to allow. Fortunately, I believe that the wildcard will work fine. Well, anyway, I think would be great to have a discussion or a decision about that. I'm pasting the issue here. So let me summarize it again so we can discuss. Allow fs read, the allow fs flags accept paths. And if you pass a path and split it by a comma, for instance, path 1, path 2, this will split in 2 different paths. However, in some systems, in some comma is a valid path name. So basically, if you pass a file with comma, it will split when it shouldn't. So how can we solve that? We have 3 suggestions. Basically, the first one is to have another flag that's permission fs path delimiter. That basically it's another flag that will tell which character is the path delimiter. So it should work. And it won't be a breaking change. That's the good part of it. And the second one is accepting multiples allow fs flags. So this is pretty much the same we use on the watch path or options, the dash options, if I remember correctly. And however, this will be a breaking change. And the third one is to use the path delimiter as the full separator. But this will not solve the problem because in some circumstances the path delimiter will not be it can be a file or a path as well. So I'm tempted to follow with the option 2, but if you guys have any opinion on that, please share.
It might be something dumb, but what if I write path inside quotes? Like I'm forced to write paths inside quotes, so I have to do quotes, name of the path, comma, quotes, name of the other path. So this way, you can use commas as delimiters for multiples, and you have to quote the path. And if you use use a quote inside your path
as well,
well, you just have to escape it if you want to use it.
But
just like you would escape it in any other string.
You
like
mean let me share my screen here.
I don't know. It might it came to me right now, so it might be something dumb that you might have thought already.
Basically, you are meaning experimental permission, and then you pass allow fs read, and here you pass
Double,
path,
the path.
and then path to
Yeah.
.tx, like this, right? However, comma is a valid path, so you want to escape it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that is the complexity it will include to the code, because when we receive the full string, okay, on the C++ side, we will receive that full string, and imagine that we need to do some regex, we need to do some pattern matching that will be susceptible to bugs, and this is also a bit far from the current design of the Node.js flags. We have searched on the Node.js CLI. Basically, all the options accept paths by either splitted by multiple flags or by path delimiter. So this will also be a bit different from the current. I don't recall one allow watch path.
Yeah, I totally get it. Like I just thought about this sed command that it uses double quotes. So I say, okay, just why don't we do the same? But it's I understand.
Yeah, we for instance, for no this is environmental variables. Yeah, it shouldn't.
I much prefer the array alternative.
Yeah. Well, the trace event categories we split by comma, but we have a list of categories. It's not a user-defined list, so that shouldn't be a problem. So, okay, so let me write down. So we have discussed it in the last security team meeting. Security team now, and we are tempted to follow the option 2. All right.
Because I think at the end of the day, it's not quite common that you have a comma in your path. So it's like in very rare case that you want to cover. So it's good.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Sorry.
Sorry, Rafa. I was just going to say, maybe you should clarify, like after option 2 here, you could say, put in between parentheses just array or multiple flags.
Okay.
Yeah. Just.
And one thing I suggested is, like, since it will be a breaking change, we can also add a check that if a single path is passed and this path contains a comma, we emit a warning saying that, okay, we have changed the API or something, just to make that transition slightly smooth.
Well, I think being experimental is not a big deal, but I think it's good.
Okay, folks. Moving on. Let me see if I have anything else in the permission model to discuss or talk about. We are still evaluating reading permissions from a config file, and possibly it won't be permissions.json because we don't want to include another config file to Node.js. So possibly we will use the current policy.json. The support for previously created symlinks, I did a research, and that will be quite difficult because of race conditions. There are a lot of conditions which, when I check the symlink and then when I move forward with the wrong assumption, it could lead to some vulnerabilities. So for now, I prefer to not support previously created string links at all. So we reduce our vector of attack. So I remove it from the list. The other one is throw access denied for asynchronous API. This is still a work that we need to do. Well, there's another thing that is there. I mean, a discussion is going on. I think you guys have heard, but we are considering to include a built-in .env reader, right? And
yep,
one of the pending features is the node. This should or should not support node options. If this support node options, for those that don't know, node options allow you to specify some flags that will be read before the V8 initialization. So you can pass some specific flags to the V8 and so on. However, considering that the permission model restricts access to any kind of file read during the Node.js initialization, for instance, if you use experimental permission and allow fs read only on the TMP folder, and you want to experimental policy and you pass a file to be read, this should throw. Okay, I'm using ZSH, so I need to escape that. This will throw that I don't have access to read that file, and that's expected. However,
yep,
when you read a .env file that contains a node options, this should be run before the V8 initialization, which means that before the permissions get applied. So this will read the file before the permission was applied, basically bypassing the Node.js or bypassing the permission model. So if someone specifies in the node options, the experimental, basically node options, I think experimental policy and policy.json, this should bypass Node.js. Actually, this won't bypass the permission model because this is evaluated after the V8 initialization. But the .env will be read before it, so it will bypass. So this is one of the things we are discussing about should we have that support or not. So if you want to jump in with your opinion in that side, feel free. But it's a long thread, so I would say to spare, I don't know, one day to read everything. Anyway, that's it from the permission model. The next one is the automate security release process. I have a good news to share here. Basically, the OSSF funding was approved. Actually, not technically approved. We are waiting for objections until the end of the week. But if no objection from the TSC, this feature or this task was approved and will be approved, and we are seeking for someone to work on that, and we will pay for that. But I don't know the details yet. We are still evaluating, but the idea is to have someone to help us to automate the security release process. And by the way, I created this pull request long time ago. If you want to review, or that's more to Rui, but yeah. Cool. Amazing. The next one is assessment against best practices. I don't think we have anything. I don't think we have anything else to discuss about that. Basically, the only active initiatives from this issue is the OpenSSF monitor review and the CAI best practice that were already discussed. So is there anything else? Do you know, Ulysses?
No, I think there is, as far as I remember, nothing else. No, we have been focusing on CI best practices. Well, there are some issues like this order on the requirement thing that are discussions ongoing, but those going offline with not a lot of news right now. So yeah, I think we're not really focusing on that at all right now. So maybe when we finish with the goal level, we can jump to these requirements and the new ones that we for sure we're going to collect from the goal one. So yeah, we can focus more on that later.
All right, amazing. So that's the end of our agenda. Before closing, does anybody have anything else that want to discuss, to share, or any news?
I mean, I think maybe what do you think if we promote the regarding the previous issue about the funding, the budget approved, that makes sense to put it like in this issue that we have for the news, so we can later on promote it on the feeder. This is like one good example for that. I know we are, I mean, Mike and myself and other people are looking for examples and start promoting that. So, but I'm not very sure if that's super big news in terms of, you know, the target audience that we have for that feed right now. So
yeah, it's not clear for me exactly what do you want to put there, but if you think that this is a good information to be shared, I'm totally fine with that. Yeah,
I think we can put it there, and later on, I think in Sundays we have this cron job, so we can filter later on, like in manual curation, if makes sense or not to keep it. So, but at least we report it. So I think that we can start getting used to that kind of things.
All right. Yeah. Anyone else? Okay. So I'll give you 25 minutes back.
Yeah.
And see you in 2 weeks.